our player party, alongside the criminal trio and 2 survivors of Zombu, set out on foot to traverse off-road through the tropical deserts of Kira Savu to make their way to Tikula. Travel was not without its warm moments of budding companionship, coupled with unceremonious chaos, such as Thotham, while trying to make himself look inviting and approachable to Cassius, who seemed to have something he wanted off his chest. However, our good-intentioned Goliath, rolling quite low, ended up unnerving the poor grieving Tabaxi enough to have him go out of his way to avoid Thotham. And who could blame Cassius? Perhaps his nervous system was meta-picking up on Thotham's table player, casually asking the DM if he could make an animal handling check on him. Yikes, dude. Fortunately, to make up for that, our sweet dragonborn Mimith had noticed Cassius later holding a damaged photo of himself and his beloved Grigius. Mimith, an experienced painter of monsters, decided to try her hand at portraying these 2 beautiful humanoids' likeness. While the result fell short of Mimith's perfectionist standards, it was an undeniably beautiful depiction, surpassing average quality, and would certainly be able to be sold as a professional product at least. Mimith discreetly placed the painting quickly into Cassius's tent before slinking away into the dark of the night around the corner. From the distance, she observed him discovering the artwork, as he clasped his hand over his mouth in surprise and protectively cradled it to his chest before retreating back inside with a soft smile. As for another touching interaction, Oryxian sought advice from Lux as he was feeling insecure after being chewed out by Tawidi in front of everyone. Him inquiring with her as to how she views and handles her relationship with Gribble, Lux expressed commitment to the young goblin's well-being, seeing herself as his guardian. She allows him to make mistakes and form his own beliefs, only intervening when necessary but trying to lightly guide him as best as she can. Oryxian warmly thanked Lux for her perspective and insight. While he's used to finding troubled stray teens and young adults showing them how to fend for themselves in a decaying society, much like how he met Lux, but he never envisioned himself actually raising a young child as if they were his own. The details of how Tawidi came to be under his wing have not been made clearly known to Lux, as Tawidi was newly met to her around the same time Gribble was. But nonetheless, Lux sweetly reassured Oryxian that she felt he was doing just fine and could see that through how Tawidi has been budding into herself. This talk was the jumpstart Oryxian needed and will forever appreciate. And while the Guardians discussed child-rearing, the children too had their own heart-to-heart. Tawidi had been under the impression that, like herself, Gribble had the gift of true sight. Tawidi had assumed her gift was a side effect of being the champion serving under the goddess Sylvania. Responding to Tawidi, Gribble shared his champion wish was to become a dragon. Tawidi kept her wish private as payback to him being rude to her the other day. Gribble will have to work on strengthening his friendship with her through letters to get her to open up a bit more, but nonetheless, the kiddos otherwise buried the hatchet and agreed they needed to stay in contact. Tawidi had also inquired into the magnificent aura coming off of Gribble's mechanical homunculus, Renrev. While no one else aside from Gribble can understand the clockwork lifeform's communication, she could perceive that he was God-touched, first assuming it was Dia's avatar, Ava. Learning that it was Dia's right hand, however, gave her great surprise. The reason for that would be known to any character that worships a god and has studied their religion that I'll detail now. The god of gods, Auetherine. It is said the kindest gift she gave the gods was their right hand. When a god is first born, she pulls from the pits of the deep ethereal, a compatible esper who she spares from final judgment, erasing its cognitive history while maintaining its nature, and elevates the esper's status to immortality but not godhood. The new god and spared esper then have their fates tied together permanently. So long as the god does not fall, their right hand lives on, usually never straying far from them, and are naturally very intuitive to the goals and desires of their god. For Dia's right hand Renrev to be sent alongside her champion rather than her newest avatar. Tawidi found it bizarre. Renrev clarified for Gribble, the reason being is that Avatar Ava is quite bitter towards the goddess, and finds Gribble to be a snot-nosed, short-sighted brat, and is currently refusing to help him, and as she sees it, refusing to enable the goddess's disrespect of her own throne. Renrev seems confident, though, that in time, Ava will come around and figure out that Dia does not make silly mistakes. Those more serious interactions out of the way, the other memorable moments of the journey most definitely came about from the chaos that ensued after consuming Tarthelymew's pink fairy dust, which he suddenly remembered are harvested from a mushroom in the Feywild called Third Wheelers. They uncommonly grow in caves that are covered by waterfalls. The drug itself, though, can't be extracted from the shroom until a couple of days after a pair of fairies have mated upon them. Precious and highly sought-after drug that Tart now recalls the official name, Fucker Fairy Cocktail. And while sharing the renewable properties of smoked Fucker Fairy, Gorham gave Oryxian a massive tongue lashing. Then it allowed for Mimith to embrace her inner spaghetti spirit, as her joints became flexible but not invincible, as she rolled a fucking natural one to do a backflip, which crunched her spine. But on the brighter side, none in the party will ever forget turning an excited Thotham and the next day a terrified Gribble into centaurs, as Tawidi and Tarth joined them in a happy double-day pony parade alongside Bad Boy and Bookie. Then, at last, you all finally made it to Tikula. It serves as the only place in this region with a train station out of these bad lands, but it's currently out of service. Repairs are expected to take 1 to 3 months. The tri-towns, Mirnek, Tikula, and Zirorix, surround a rare water reservoir together and have distinct colors representing their citrus exports. Newsboards displayed stories about Kirasavu's last river basilisk expecting to die due to lack of water within a few months. Another story reports threats from the Bleeding Silks posing they'll cut off water supply to major residential areas if the government doesn't comply with whatever demands they are making. As for the Empire-wide newsboard, reports that during your travels, an ice dragon caused heavy destruction in Wolfspur. The dragon has since gone missing. Desperate for rest on a real bed, the criminal trio, along with the 2 Zombiu survivors, checked in at the Trickle-Down Tavern and Inn. If you need them at any point, you can likely find them there as they're waiting for either for the trains to get repaired or rest up enough to travel to the spires. As for the player party, you all decided to get right to work rather than take a breather and enjoy the place. Your party, with high anticipation, sought out the Adventurers Guild. Adventuring, an often idealized profession, yet sees many aspirants drop out due to its inherent dangers and unpredictability. Joining this guild is the necessary first step in building a portfolio for advancement into the official Adventurers League. This progression relies on earning the respect of a professional quest manager known as a fixer. Fixers, seeking new talent, test teams through adventurer job boards, before extending a highly desired invitation to become mutual clients after a party advances from novice to journeyman when they complete 10 successful missions. This, folks, is what you will need to achieve in order to reach level 4, which will get yourself more interesting, lucrative, and impactful work instead of the slop bucket of random community chores. But back to that pro bono mission. The job titled Wild Ostrich Chase, requested by Vanessa Chattelbottom of Zirorix. Evident quickly to the party that this is the unfortunate wife of Norik Chattelbottom, the sacrificed man in the caravan at Zombiu that Jarvis gave his golden ticket of freedom to, pressing that he needed to go be a father to his daughter. Vanessa, who prefers to be called Nessa, is an unknowingly now single mother with a 7-month-old daughter named Nutmeg. She runs an Eden bakery called Café Nornis. She pleadingly wrote that she desperately needs a pro to help her remove a sweet-natured, seemingly pet ostrich out of her cafe and return safely to its rightful home. The Fallen's Fellowship entered the cafe, which appeared in distraught disarray. The sad whimpers of the ostrich were heard from a loft overhead. Bartholomew steadfastly began setting up the ritual to speak with Animal, but that turned out to be entirely unnecessary. As the ostrich's head swung over the ledge and beamed brightly as its eyes set on Thodum, it elegantly made its way down to him, bowing its head in polite grace, before fucking hacking and puking up the putrid magic scroll onto him. And upon the wet, acrid-smelling scroll being read, anyone within 60 feet of target Animal could now mutually communicate with it for the next 30 days.
Hello there! It is I, Panlora Celebrimbor. I am most pleased to make all of your acquaintances. Now, no applause is necessary. I actually don't like attention all that much. I just love inventing things and being left to my own devices. I assume you all are a very experienced and highly capable bunch. I worry for the child goblin among your rank, though. Kids should be in school, not on the road, in my opinion. But you know what? I was an older age than this boy when I attempted to be an alchemist, back in my poverty-stricken home city. An earthquake destroyed my expensive alchemy set and collapsed my dormitory. That quake crushed my dreams of being an alchemist and even took my beloved pet spider, Bobby, from me. But silver linings. If not for that event, I might not be the successful wizard inventor that I am right now. Well, before I was turned into an ostrich anyway. So the fact that this young goblin has become so talented at this young age, I'll reserve further critique and watch with an open mind how the youth handles my chaotic adult problems. As a lass, I am in quite the pickle, as you can see. This drama all started a bit over 2 weeks ago, while I was studying the ruptured ley line that tore through half of friggin' Kirasavu. Wait a minute, what's that you say? You don't know what a ley line is? Good gods, what are we even teaching kids in schools these days? Outside of our galaxy, in the superior plane that is ruled by the god of gods, Ioetherine, lies a place called Magnum Opus. It is the palace and birthplace of mana itself. There resides a relic called the Matron Weave, which creates threads that contain mana, feeding them into the vast galaxies of existence. Each galaxy, along with a unique pantheon, contains a smaller kin weave that catches those threads and disperses them into the local realms. It is the very fabric of our existence here in the Doria galaxy. These invisible threads that deliver mana and hold Gikarin together are called ley lines. Think of them like small invisible pipes in the world that exhaust off the very mana that us and the gods alike can utilize for our many magical feats. But there's a dangerous catch to this mechanism, you see. Intense concentrations of magical violence, such as war zones with dense populations of dueling spellcasters, or just an overuse of mana in production, could result in something called mana burn, which is a wave of internal force damage throughout one's blood vessels that cause them to suddenly rupture so fast that it boils your blood and can result in anything from temporary pain, limb loss, or even instant death, depending on the extent of a ley line rupture. To lay persons, ley line ruptures look like a massive sonic beam that indiscriminately tears through a given area and ruptures at the focal point of magic overuse. What's that you say? You all saw the beam tear through the desert yourselves, and Tartholomew thought about touching the red-hot glow. Oh my gods, thank heavens you didn't do that! Don't go experimenting and risking your life like that ever again. Always wear protective gear and bring a lab partner. Okay, that aside. Anywho, lesson over. Back to me and my problems. 2 years ago, despite my hard rule of turning away all visitors, my talented assistant, Morrigan Istra, insisted I speak with a social worker who arrived alongside a 12-year-old boy seeking apprenticeship. His name is Nolki Burnett and was considered the best in his class for spells and reading comprehension. He's from the same poverty-stricken city I am, Kamasa Fayadan, which is currently under the complete control of the Bleeding Silks gang. The poor child had recently lost his single father and had no family that could take him in. Additionally, we were told that if I rejected, that he would be sent to Pellen's Spire. Hearing that, I understood why Morrigan couldn't say no herself. Pellen's Spire is somewhat known for poorly managing a child trafficking problem, something Morrigan experienced herself firsthand and is an outspoken advocate for. Between the unique circumstances and shared background, I made an exception and legally took him in as my apprentice. It felt like fate, you know? Honestly, I lacked experience in interacting with, let alone raising children. I studiously read books recommended by Morrigan when adapting to our new life, but I don't have the faintest clue as to what has made Nolki so damn hostile. I admit to having weaknesses, like binge-eating pie and not realizing when I'm boring someone. As for the gifted prodigy under my care, Nolki, well, he struggles in the empathy department. But he's just a child. I've witnessed his warm and sweet sides, and we've made excellent progress over time. Or so I thought, anyway. So my dear Gnolki, who is 14 now, stole my newest revolutionary invention that is unfortunately still quite unstable and not ready for public testing. He broke into and stole from my high-level magic items, safe and hammered in some runes, and, well, impressively, he managed to create something divinely forbidden, a runic wand of true polymorph unlimited. Gnolki's first order of business was a simpler feat. He decided to turn himself into me. As I returned home from studying the ley line rupture, I was ambushed by my 2 years-long persistent stalker, Duzir Gabos. He's a half-orc ex-felon who claims to have read all my books in prison but clearly understood none of them. Despite consistent and clear rejection of his advances, Duzir is enthusiastically convinced that I'm always just testing his worth and training him to be ready to become my apprentice. Police have been unhelpful. I don't think he's inherently a bad man, but I'm genuinely scared of his delusional obsession over me. In an admittedly clever move, Onolki, while polymorphed and pretending to be me, convinced Duzir that I am my own imposter. I fell unconscious to Duzir striking me and woke up in this body, locked in a cage. Nolki, with a creepy smile, stared down and kindly reminded me of the story of my childhood tormentor who bullied me for resembling an ostrich, floofy buttocks included. I'm unsure of what triggered Nolki's behavior, but it seems he has suddenly turned against me, despite what I believed was a growing and happier connection. I still have faith in him, though, and our mutual ability to work this out. If I made some kind of mistake, I don't know what it is, but I will happily own up to it. Thank heavens for Morrigan. She really is a godsend, and I'd be nothing without her. She knew something was up and just pretended to be convinced by Nolki's act. Once she found where he locked me up some time later, she just instinctively knew and secretly freed me. Morrigan told me she'd meet me at Café Norness with a plan. She distracted Nolki while I made my escape. I managed to grab that scroll on the way out, but I'm very worried for Morrigan as she never came and should have been here by now. And I'm worried for Nolki. He should understand the danger he is placing himself into. But from what I've read, teens can be pretty impulsive. And even beyond him, I'm so worried for the people he has hired with my savings and polymorphed mercenaries into fucking combat bears. All this while the boy ruins my reputation acting like a total asshat. Anywho, I truly am grateful to you all for being willing to help me. You also did an excellent job of convincing Luzia just now that I simply ran away. I imagine he will be back though. Nolki probably sent him to come drag me back, and who knows what extent this disturbed fellow will go. You all best be careful.